Star Wars is an ever expanding universe, with many different factions rolling throughout its galaxy. One such faction is the Nihil, a group of space marauders that are very prevalent throughout the High Republic area. Before I get into who the Nihil are, it's important to first know what is the High Republic. The High Republic era, also known as the Age of the High Republic, was a period of time that lasted from around 500 years BBY to 100 years BBY, which is the Battle before Yavin, which the Galactic Republic was said to be at its height. This was a time of expansion and exploration in the Outer Rim territories, and was also considered an era of peace in the galaxy. Although peace was the general consensus, conflict still erupted, primarily by the Nihil, who I mentioned are space marauders, who saw themselves as riders of a storm that swept through the galaxy, allowing them to take whatever they wanted, when they wanted. They were a criminal organization based in the Outer Rim territories who sought to gain power and control the galaxy. Although they view themselves as conquerors who value chaos with no loyalty to government hierarchy, they do rank themselves in their own organization. Starting at the lowest rank, the Nihil consists of strikes, clouds, storms, and the Tempest, making up a majority of the organization. And sitting at the bottom of the ranks are the strikes. The strikes are essentially the foot soldiers of the Nihil, and they are expendable to all of those above in the food chain. Those strikes that don't find themselves in the casualty of crossfire can work their way and make their way up to being Cloud. A Cloud is both a rank and a name that is used to refer to a group of strikes. A person with the rank of Cloud is in charge of a group of strikes, distributing orders and keeping the newer recruits in line. As members of the Nihil continue to progress within the organization, the tactics they use to rise in ranks become more devious so that way they can stand out more. Whereas a strike might be promoted to Cloud for merely recruiting a handful of new members. A Cloud might sabotage any competition in their way to become a storm. The Nihil is made up of 3 Tempests, each has its own runner. The Tempests themselves are Leona D, Kasav, and Pan Eta. However, the highest authority within the Nihil is the Eye of the Storm, who goes by the name Marchion Ro. What makes the Nihil so dangerous to the Republic is their access to hyperspace routes known as paths. These paths were unlike anything the Republic has seen before. The paths were so unlike regular hyperspace routes that theoretically, the routes that they were taking were deemed impossible according to the conventional navigation systems and technology. However, it worked for the Nihil, and this allowed them to gain access to any place in the galaxy at all times. This made them a serious threat and much more aware to the Jedi and the Republic during this area, with one example being how dangerous they were during what was known as the Great Disaster event. The Great Hyperspace Disaster, also known as the Great Disaster of the Legacy Run or the Evacuation of Hetzal Prime, was an event that occurred during the High Republic in the year 232 BBY. Several moons in the Trimont system, including Corbital, were destroyed in the disaster. The entire Hetzal system was especially threatened with this, with large amounts of debris set on collision courses for all of its inhabited bodies, sparking a massive rescue effort. Like I mentioned, the High Republic was mainly known for being a very peaceful time throughout the galaxy, and when this happened to Hetzal system, it really made its headway throughout the galaxy since billions of lives were lost during the event, all because the Nihil themselves attacked a ship that was traveling through hyperspace, which was deemed impossible. And since it was attacked during hyperspace, the fragmented parts of the ship continued to fly throughout hyperspace, destroying everything in its path. The paths not only made them deadly, but it also made the Nihil evasive, since they were capable of traveling to anywhere in the galaxy to specific locations that can only be traveled to by their design and their path engine ships, which are only coordinated to these locations from the leader Marchion Ro himself, making it impossible for the Republic to gain and replicate this information themselves. Overall, the Nihil continued to be the main threat of the High Republic era, the third and final phase of the books releasing in 2024, and with their appearance being in the Jedi Survivor game, you can expect to see more of this threat in the future of Star Wars.